diving, dive travel, uh, technical equipment for underwater photography, all things diving. So if you're interested in that stuff, I would encourage you to subscribe and click on the subscribe button with the bell notifications on, and you won't miss any of the content that's coming up. We cover the local dive sites here in the west coast of Canada, Central Island area, Vancouver Island, as well as around the world. So, and I'll cover a lot of the dive photography equipment, tips and tricks that I've learned myself and with the help of other underwater photographers. And we'd love to have you. Today we're going to talk about Orlebar Point on Gabriola Island, which is close to Nanaimo, BC Canada. You access it through the ferry at downtown Nanaimo. It's about a 20-minute ride across on the ferry, and then about a 15-minute drive to Orlebar Point. And it's an absolutely beautiful spot. It's one of the top reasons why people go to Gabriola. There's two great dive spots there, but this is by far the most accessible and beautiful. There's a nice big wall there. You can whale watch while you're on topside. There's a nice smooth rock beach to picnic on and sightsee and watch the ferries go by and the birds and whatever's happening out. You can see the whale watchers in their boats ripping by and that sort of thing. It's absolutely beautiful out there, and I never get tired of going out there ever. On the wall, you could see wolf eels and octopus, as well as many rockfish and the tigerfish, snapper, painted greenlings. It's absolutely beautiful. And there's actually a lot of pluming anemones on the wall, so the big cloud plume anemones are there, as well as lots of crimson anemones, which you'll see on the island side as well, on the main island side. But here on the wall, they seem to be more and more of them. I'd say there's about 5 times more crimson anemones, and they're kind of like they're guaranteed to be there. And they're really nice because inside the crimson anemone, you see the shrimp in there. So if you're a macro photographer, you can take shots of these translucent shrimp inside the crimson anemone. Absolutely beautiful shots, as well as a lot of the bigger fish. The big lingcods are there, and so it's a great destination. It's about $45 for a couple of divers in a car to go across, and that includes your trip back. You just drive straight on the ferry without paying on the way back. So, but I encourage you to take note of the schedule, which I'll post, and it's a great site. So our first picture here is downtown Nanaimo, and you can see I've got circled in blue the ferry terminal, which is right in front of Port Place Mall. And just to the left and above that, the greenery there, the high rises, that's the Beacon and Cameron Island. So the ferry terminal straddles it right alongside, and then there's a sort of a container ship terminal right next door there. So right in the middle, and there's a place where you basically just pull in off the front street straight into the lineup and get in line for the next on the ferry. Some people are tempted to walk on the ferry. If you're going to walk on the ferry and you don't want to take your car and that sort of thing, you could take your chances and park in the mall, but they'll get you. Everybody wants to park right close to the ferry on Front Street in the mall parking lot. All the mall parking guys know that, and they'll just ticket you. So if you have to do that and you're going to take a chance, park your car close to the front entrance of the mall, and chances are you won't get ticketed. Just a tip. Our next pick here is the schedule, the BC Ferry schedule. You can look up this schedule on the BC Ferries, I believe it's .com website. Take note of the dates, though. This one obviously is the summer schedule, April 27th to September 2nd in 2019. It changes, so I encourage you to go to that website and get the real deal there. This is just for 2019 and just summer, so this will give you a general guideline of where the ferries are and how often they are. But get the real one, the latest one on your phone, and take note before you get on the ferry, when it is coming back and all the rest of the stuff. You don't want to get stuck in Gabriola and then not have a place to stay and that sort of thing. So take note of them. There's a lot of ferries, and you don't have to wait long between them, so it's pretty convenient. And yeah, so take note of that on BC Ferries website. Thanks. And our next shot here is the Gabriola ferry terminal on the other side. So this is where you would get off and you would zip up North Road here. I circled the Skull Pub there because you can see the long blue line running along North Road there that I drew. And that's where everybody lines up. You can see the cars lined up there, and then they'll line up around the corner on the next road that you'll see when I'll show you the destination road, the map on how to get to Orlebar Point, but it actually wraps around another turnoff. But this Skull Pub here is a great place to pop in and even have a coffee. You don't have to have a beer, but if you want to have a beer or wine, you can go in there and have beer and wine while you're waiting in line. And don't forget to get back in your car before the ferry comes, otherwise they're going to drive around you and you're going to miss it. Anyway, so it's a good spot to pop in, and there's a great little deck there in the summertime to sit on. It's nice, sit in the sun and watch the ocean. It's just absolutely beautiful there. Very reasonable. Good service. And a bite too. You can get a bite, fresh food there as well. Our next shot here is the map. The road once you get off the ferry there, so you just go up North Road a little bit until you get to Taylor Bay Road. So you turn left, and the ferry lineup will continue around that corner for about a half a kilometer. It's single lane, so all the ferry traffic goes all the way down Taylor Road. So it goes on quite a ways. So, but there is a sign saying if you can see this sign, you're not getting on the boat. So take note of where that sign is, and then you'll know whether you're getting on or not. It's a general measurement tool for how many cars will fit on that boat. So you continue on down Taylor Bay Road. I've got them marked here. So number 1, 2, 3, 4 are the decision-making areas on this map. So the first decision, you have to turn left, of course, onto Taylor Bay Road. The next decision will just be turning right onto Berry Point Road, where it says marked as 2. And you continue down there, Berry Point Road, until you get to, well, it stays Berry Point Road, but you're going to have to, it'll just sort of swerve to the left. So it's kind of the main road. It looks like you're going to have to make a decision there, and it's just, you probably won't make a mistake there, but just keep left waterside, and continue on until you get to Orlebar parking lot at the tip. You'll see it. There's a picnic table there first with a spot for a car, and then the next one has about room for 3 vehicles. But please leave space in the middle for emergency vehicles and that sort of thing, access to the people, so people can get access to the beach. And don't park all the way up to the front if you can. Leave a space about 3 or 4 feet so other divers can have 2 different accesses to the beach. Otherwise, if you park all the way to the front, people can't get by your vehicle in the front. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the next picture. But that's how you get there, and it's really close. It's only about 15-minute drive. Okay, so here's the map of Orlebar Point. You've arrived, you've gone down Berry Point Road, and you're just pulling in where you see the 3 cars there, if you're lucky, and you get a good spot. You're going to be parking where those 3, dark cars are there. And leave the spot just at the head of that red mark that I've got there, just so emergency vehicles can get in if they have to, and that sort of thing, and just general pedestrians have access to get in there, and you're not brushing up against them while you're suiting up and that sort of thing. So if it's packed and you can't park there, you see the blue lines I've got along the sides of the road. That's where you can park and just tuck in off the road, and then you can gear up next to your vehicle and head straight into the water. There's a picnic table there with a kind of nice little parking spot there. That's kind of an ideal little spot there, and also has access to the beach. So that's kind of nice. But I like to kind of go in where I've got that red line, so that would make it a little bit more of a hike when you've got 100 pounds of gear on. So I kind of like the red line area where you want to walk into the water. So once you get there, park your car in that parking area, gear up, and then head down where I've got that. It's just a suggestion, but head down by where that red line is, and just to the left of where you see the bench. And the bench is actually a good spot if you like to sit down and put your gear on and have your tank sitting there, and you don't have a car that lets you sort of sit on a tailgate or anything like that, you can always gear up at that bench. And it's just off to the right. You can see it's a little kind of a dark rectangle about an inch away from on the map from those cars. And then you just walk down the red line there. And the entry point in the water is a suggestion area. Be careful around there. Make sure, again, that you're walking on barnacles. They're your friend. Mussels, usually mussels. There's a lot of black mussels there. Those are handy dandy to walk on as well. Not too good for the mussels, but good for you not slipping on landing on your tank. And then once you get in the water, you're basically going to head north. Set your course straight north, which will be, I believe it's Entrance Island right there. You want to set when you set it, I think it's just to the left of Entrance Island or right on it. And so you just head out that way, and you'll hit the wall pretty quickly. It doesn't take too long. And then straight back south. So it's you couldn't have easier navigation at this particular site. So you're going to be straight out north, straight south back. And really, you know, in the Nanaimo area and the Noose area and that sort of thing, they're all kind of like that, you know, north out, south back. Almost every site's like that within, you know, 15 degrees either way. It's pretty close. And if you get into trouble and can't remember anything, that's go south to get to shore basically, and you'll hit the shore somewhere. Okay, so that's all I've got to say really about this side, other than you can see that there's nice smooth rock everywhere to have a sort of day picnicking, and if you have some people with you that don't dive, they can have a nice day on the beach with their dog, and lots of nice little nooks and crannies to sit and watch the whales. You can see lots of killer whales around this part of the world. And just off the beach here, you'll see lots of whale watching boats going ripping by here. So yeah, it's a great spot, very picturesque. Our next picture here is a nautical chart, and it's showing basically the depths. Their underwater topography lines here they're a little bit jagged and a little bit rough and undefined, to say the least. This is broad strokes. So generally what it's saying here is that from Orlebar Point out in the dark there till you get to 25, it's less than 25 meters. That's true. It's pretty shallow in there until you get to, and then it drops off to say 50 meters and beyond. And I would challenge that it's even more. You'd actually get to that medium blue area beyond the 50 quicker. And I'd also suggest that the wall will run, we'll call it perpendicular to your entrance out into the wall, meaning that it's running parallel to the beach. And the further left you go, the farther it's going to be to the wall. And as long as you keep north, right on that north bearing, you'll show up at the wall in the quickest amount of time. If you veer off, say you go, you're at maybe 340 degrees or 350 degrees, you're probably going to have to swim a little more to get to it. And why would you want to do that? Well, you might want to do that depending on the currents, because the currents can be something you want to pay attention to. So once you get in the water, you know, pick up a piece of seaweed and drop it and see which way it goes. And whatever direction it goes, swim into that current a little bit so that you can come back with the current giving you some help, because chances are you'd be tired, and it's a good risk mitigation strategy in case something happens, in case you need to get to shore and you need a little, you'll be tired, stressed, whatever, and it just makes everything, it makes your dive more comfortable. So you can also get the current going two different directions because of the wall, and I've seen it. I saw it yesterday with the current going. The current was basically heading, I believe it was heading east on top of the wall, and when you're on the wall, it was heading west. So slightly west, but stronger from going east when we got in the water. So we fought the current a little bit. We were heading about, you know, doing that 350 thing, and we had to get a little bit farther to the wall. But once we got on the wall, for some reason we were fighting the current again a little bit when we got down to depth on the wall, so it was a little bit weird. And then we got up to the top, and it was an aggressive current, so we just needed it. But it was, the tide was out, so it was kind of swooping us up towards the surface. So we just settled on some rocks a little bit and just kind of leapfrogged our way into shore, and we were fine. So yeah, there's lots of little nooks and crannies that you can, once you get onto the top of the wall. But for those that like to go off the end of a wall, this is the place to be. It's just it's literally a couple 100 feet in some places, and I believe off to the left it's got to be, you can't see the bottom. Some places the shallowest area is about probably 85 feet where you can actually hit the bottom, and that's one spot, and everywhere else it just expands and gets deeper. So this is generally what you're going to see.